Hi CFOs, Alena Bennett here. I hope you're doing really well. It's an absolute delight to be here and talk to the CFO Show. If we have not been acquainted before, as I said, my name is Alena Bennett. I am a CFO mentor and leadership expert. I work with CFOs and their teams to help elevate their capability and impact and help them create more value across their businesses. Now, I'm going to be really transparent here. It's the 29th of June. I'm not quite sure when this will go live, but it's the 29th of June. And you know what that means? It means tomorrow is most CFOs and finance professionals' grand final. It is the big hurrah. 30 June, if you've got an Australian financial year end as well, this is approaching your year end busy season. And I think what that comes with is a lot of challenges. And if I think about the challenges that I most commonly hear from my CFOs, and quite frankly, still have quite a few scars on my back from my own experiences, is not enough time. It always feels like there's too much work, not enough time. And in fact, our commitments, the requirements keep getting bigger, and it feels like the timelines and deadlines that we need to operate in continue to get smaller. The other thing that quite often comes up is we can't, there are so many stakeholder expectations to manage. People have certain expectations about the numbers, the budget, dividends, all of the things, yeah? And so it feels like quite often what you're trying to do is you're a bit of a ping pong ball, or even like a pinball in those machines where you're just bouncing around, trying to make sure that everyone's working and everyone's at play and everyone's at happy. It can be a little bit overwhelming. I think the absolute doozy that I hear, there are a number of other challenges, auditors, systems, teams, all the rest of it. But the doozy that I quite often hear is, you know what, Alena, there's just so many surprises during year end. It's really hard to plan. And I go, you know what? I get that there are so many reasons that can go wrong. And I get that things actually will always go wrong. Things will never go according to plan. But we've been around the block a few times by the time we're at this age and at this level, that there are very few surprises that actually exist. So when I hear people say, you know what, I can't plan because there are no surprises, I call a bit foul because it sounds like a little bit of excuses to me. I know that's a hard truth here, but, here we are. What's actually going on, however, is I reckon in the name of service, CFOs easily get too attached. We say that again, in the name of service, CFOs accidentally get too attached. And so year end becomes all consuming and we care a little bit too much. And that's okay. Caring is good. But when we care too much, when we get too invested, we let what we care about get in the way and cloud our judgment, which ultimately slows us down from moving forward to get to the other end. In fact, we create problems in doing so. And in actual fact, we need to become more detached. And so I want to take you through a framework that gives you the confidence and shows you how and why it's important to be detached, but still committed. Because if we're too attached, as I said, it becomes all consuming. And that's when all of the bad things, we start to spiral into that depths of despair. But fear not, I am not telling you to drop the ball. Let's just make that really clear. So I'm just going to quickly take you through this model and then we'll wrap up because I know you're crunched for time already. When I say we get a bit too attached, that's what I mean. We care a little bit too much versus being detached. Yeah, so I reckon that's one side of the paradigm. The other side is, well, we don't want to be careless, because that's not great. We cannot be in a CFO role and be careless. But absolutely, we need to be committed. And so I want to share with you what happens at the intersections of these things to say, you know what, we actually want to be detached and committed, and that is how we need to show up. Let's just cover off on the careless side because we know none of us here want to be careless. When we are careless and detached, I reckon that's when we are absolutely reckless because we're unrestrained. Yeah, and there's just no place for that in a CFO role, and particularly at year end. We cannot be so detached that we're careless and just be reckless with what we do and how we do it, yeah? But we also don't want to be careless and attached. And how that might come out, that might actually come out as being too dogmatic. Have you ever sat in a session where people will throw out motherhood statements and you go, yeah, that's not relevant? So when we're attached, we might really care about something, but we throw out we're careless with the statements we make because we're not relevant. And so what that actually makes us is irresponsible. Yeah. What we want to get to is we want to make sure that we're committed, but we're not too attached. Now, what happens when we are committed but too attached, which is the quadrant that most CFOs find them in? They actually accidentally get too narrow-minded. Yeah, we get our blinkers on, and that's where we make it too personal. So we get our blinkers on and we go, oh, it's my way or the highway. Hang on, we need to get it done. So let me just roll up the sleeves and let me do it myself. It's where we get a little bit dictatorial. And when we accidentally let our biases cloud everything that we do. So this is where we want to move down into being committed, but detached, and have that beauty of detachment at the same time. And when we can do that, that actually allows us to be pragmatic and sit back and really objectively go, what's going on here? Who's relevant? What's relevant? How is the most appropriate way to get there? And when are we going to do that? And when we take that approach, it allows us to be particularly impactful. And I reckon that's exactly what you want for your year end. You don't want it to be this 6-week period where it's just this blur of busyness. You want to walk through and say, no, this is a really intentional, impactful period of time. And in fact, it's your grand final and you want to win it. I hope that's been really helpful. I've got a couple of tools here in case you would be interested. It's also how we can connect if we aren't already. These are just the tools at the back of my book, CFO of the Future. If you don't already have it, what these resources are the tools that you get when you get that book. These are implementation tools. So if you are looking for some new tools to add to your toolkit, they're practical tools and templates to help you through each of the 4 quadrants of CFO leadership: value, impact, integrity, and leverage. Go ahead, take a look. I would highly suggest don't use all of them at once. For this purpose, just pick the ones that are most relevant for you. Once you've got that QR code, you will be able to have access to all of them. So just access them at the right time. We want to make sure we are impactful and not getting too personal. Anyway, friends, great to spend time with you. I hope that's been super helpful. I'll talk to you soon.